Welcome everyone to the third episode of Biz Group's Industry Insight series. Today we're going to be talking to Dillon, Chief Learning Architect at Axonify, about the power of technology dynamically shaping the future of learning. Welcome JD, and thank you for being with us today.
Happy to be here.
Listening to some of your earlier conversations, and when big data, analytics, learning attribution, that's all core to what you believe at Axonify and what drives the learning experience and drives impact. And I know you've always been a big advocate of borrowing from other industries and looking and learning about things that aren't necessarily specific to L&D. So talking about marketing and going, how are they using big data? How are they using analytics to help drive personalized marketing experiences and then copying that into a learning context that, again, feeds the consumer, i.e. the employee. In the last 12 months, recent history, or even looking forward, what industries are you keeping a close eye on? Which ones would you say people should watch, and what things are they doing that we could learn from them, apply into the learning function, into the frontline enablement strategy? What are those core industries that are doing things differently?
Well, you gave the obvious answer, which is marketing, right? So, and I think it's going beyond the superficial connections that some people may make with marketing, which is they use campaigns and they use different types of content. You mentioned that going layers deep to say, well, how do they leverage data? Going layers deep beyond that to even say, well, how many, in your organization, do you know how many technologies your marketing team uses in order to do their job? And if you work for an organization of any substantial size, it's probably a dozen or more different technologies kind of cobbled together in order to execute on those campaigns that you actually see. And then the other thing that's interesting about marketing teams is that they are very much early to the party when it comes to technology. If you've ever tried a new app, let's use Clubhouse as an example, if anyone's using Clubhouse, and you look around at who's here, it's almost always a pile of marketing people because they're trying to find the next way to push their message in order to promote their products and services, right? So I think there's a certain level of experimentation, the use of technology, a broad technology ecosystem, making informed decisions through data, using data to activate different types of practices, using different. There's just a lot of parity between what learning and development does and what marketing does because we're both trying to shift behavior. But the other one that I would take a look at, which I already kind of alluded to in our conversation, is the fitness industry, because I don't understand why we don't make more correlations between exercise and learning, because they're so fundamentally similar in the fact that you don't decide, I need to be stronger and go to a gym for 8 hours and say I'm stronger now. Right? The same general thing applies to mental fitness as it does to physical fitness. And I'm not going to dive into the science behind things because I'm not that expert, but on a surface level, at least it makes sense. But then you go again, layers deep, and you look at what Apple's doing around fitness and the Peloton craze and all of these things that are these technology enabled versions of the fitness experience. And what can we learn from how they're applying data, how they're integrating different technologies in order to make connections to data that help show you the value of this experience, that you are getting better, right? You are inching up, because it becomes very discouraging. We're in the beginning of the year and millions of people probably made some type of agreement with themselves that they were going to get in the best shape of their lives. And it's now a month and a half later, and are they still doing that? That's the old joke about New Year's. And those types of promises, right? But what's key is seeing progress, right? You're not going to go from where you are to where you want to be so fast that you can see that, oh, I should definitely keep eating this way, right? It's about incremental progress. Same thing when it comes to developing knowledge and skill on the job. So how do we take a look at how fitness applications, as another example, are using data and artificial intelligence to provide more targeted coaching? If I can't, who has the money and resources to hire their own fitness coach, right? Not most people. So there's apps out there that are filling that gap by using AI and visual recognition type technology to watch you exercise and identify where there are gaps in terms of your form and provide targeted coaching to say, you might get better results if you do the following types of things. That's another place where you just look at how does that compare to workplace performance using data from how people are learning, developing, and performing on the job, and then making proactive recommendations to say, we noticed the following about your performance in a non-creepy way, and here's some things you might want to take a look at. Not just saying, well, you work in this job and someone else who works in your job took this course, you might want to take that course. That doesn't work. It's not, learning is not entertainment. Learning is not Netflix, even though
Yeah.
Netflix does great things. So I think that if we just take a step back and look at physical fitness and their industry and how they've been leveraging different types of content, data, and technology in order to shift the experience, especially given the way they've had to reimagine their business over the past 12 months and what parts of their business have lifted because of the way consumer behaviors have changed. I think there's something to be said. So can we just merge fitness and marketing and find a new version of learning and development, or not a new version, but an evolved version of what we're doing? Maybe. But I think there's just, why recreate the wheel when there are tons of great things being done by organizations that are trying to get, or industries that are trying to get similar types of outcomes or similar categories of outcomes? How do we continue to learn from them? Make sure we get out of our bubble, right? Because if we're only talking to ourselves, there's only so many times you need to hear me talk, right? Before you need to go find expertise of some other variety that can help expand your perspective and share ideas you haven't heard yet. So just getting out of our bubble as a profession, I'd say that to any profession, is critical. But what bubbles might you want to poke your head into? Definitely marketing, and then take a look at what the fitness industry is doing.